Hey, this is Introvert Dave, and once again I'm looking at Python. Today I've got a challenge to write some code that simulates flipping a single coin, however many times the user decides. The code should record the outcomes and count the number of heads and tails. So we know we're going to want a random number to represent the coin flip, so we'll import the random module. Then we're going to want the user to tell us how many times they want us to flip the coin. Because if the user enters something that's not a number, we could get an error when we're cast into an integer. We're going to want to wrap that in a try and accept statement. And to make sure we don't break out of the program when we get the error, we'll wrap that in a while loop. So we'll start off with while true. And then try. And this will be num flips equals int inputs how many times would you like to flip the coin. If we get an exception here, it's going to be a value error. And we can simply print out invalid value. Please enter a number. If we don't get an error, we can simply break out, and that should provide us with the full loop. Once we've got that, we're going to want a list where we can store the outcomes of the coin toss. So we'll create an empty list, heads, tails. We're also going to want to count how many heads we've got. And we're going to want to count how many tails we've got. So now to actually create the coin toss simulation, we can use a for loop with the value being the number of flips. And then we can have coin equals random dot randint 0, 1. That will give us a random value, either 0 or 1. Then we can use an if statement. So if coin is 0, we can append to heads, tails. We can append a tail, and then tails plus equal 1. The only other option will be a 1 for that random integer. So we can just use an else statement. We don't need anything more complicated than that. And this will be heads, tails dot append h. And heads plus equal 1. We can then print out heads, tails to give the list of all the coin tosses. And we can print number of heads, comma heads, and number of tails, comma tails. And that should all work. So if we quickly run the program, how many times would we like to flip the coin? Let's say 100. We can see the list of heads and tails that we got. And we got 50 heads and 50 tails. So it's exactly even, which is exactly what we would expect from a random number. And we can test the error checking as well. So if we enter something that's not a number, it will give us an invalid value. Please enter a number. And we can do that as long as we want, and it will keep repeating until we actually enter a number. So we'll toss the coin 1,000 times, Again, it's almost instantaneous, and we got 489 heads and 511 tails. And that's it. That's all we needed to do for that program. It's a very short, very simple program. And you can find the source code on GitHub. Link will be in the description. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.